Once you become a police officer, you do give up a lot of your personal time for the department, and that's part of the deal. You understand that when going into it. As a supervisor, once you start moving up, you understand that you give up more of yourself for the greater cause of the department.
Hey everybody, Michael Laidler here, professional speaker, and welcome to another episode of the LEO First podcast. If you can't tell, I'm not in my virtual studio. I'm actually over here in Corpus Christi at Church Unlimited doing a couple of keynotes for Corpus Christi PD. With me, you see the man, Deputy Chief Anthony Sanders, 23-year law enforcement veteran, nearly 10 years Navy service, and I just wanted to pick his brain while I was here on a couple of ideas that relate to leadership. So, Deputy Chief Sanders, tell us kind of how you got into your role of leadership.
Wow.
I know it's a very heavy one. I know out the gate.
I don't think it started out like that. I think initially once I joined the department, and I was a little bit older when I came out, and so I always told myself, hey, I want to start promoting like fairly quick so I can at least make up some of that time. Mm-hmm. And along with that came, of course, the responsibility of being a supervisor, and then, of course, leadership comes along with that. So I just always approached it just with no pressure. Continue to just be myself, not do anything uncharacteristic of the things that I normally do, and I just think you shouldn't change, once you become a supervisor and start moving up.
Yeah, and one thing people like me that haven't been in the high levels leadership roles that you've been in is that there's something called FBI National Academy, and you were a participant in that. Tell us, how did that go?
Oh, wow. That was probably one of the best executive trainings that I've been to in my entire professional career. It's a partnership with the FBI, of course, but then they have partnerships with local law enforcement. And actually, I got to speak to Director Comey when I was there, and his viewpoint of the FBI Academy was, us at the federal level, we have the resources a lot of times that the local municipalities don't have. And so with the expertise that you all have and us having the resources, it's a match made in heaven. And so me, for example, I have the ability and network to be able to contact someone from, I have someone that's in Africa. I have someone that's a classmate from Israel. I had somebody that's a classmate from California, and that's sort of the intent, to make it an organic 10-week program. But then once we have that system in place with the networking, we're able to capitalize and leverage those contacts moving forward.
Yeah, and I actually spoke at the FBI National Academy annual conference last year in July in Denver, and I can tell you the atmosphere, the people that were there, it was amazing, because you have leaders who truly believe in training. And obviously, people that know me, people that watch this, they know at this point I love training.
Right.
I speak, I do whatever, I study it. It's been all about building myself up from that level. So being in that atmosphere, I can only imagine 10 weeks of it, everybody being Director Comey at the time, like you're saying, just looking at all of it. So when we're thinking about leadership, obviously we're talking about a lot of organizational stuff. So how have you been able to kind of transfer some of this to your personal life? Because we know in leadership, a lot of things that we talk about is work-life balance, and you being at the high level that you're in here at Corpus Christi, like, how have you been able to kind of manage some of your time and kind of learn some of these different techniques and now transform your life in that way?
Once you become a police officer, you do give up a lot of your personal time for the department, and that's part of the deal. You understand that going into it. As a supervisor, once you start moving up, you understand that you give up more of yourself for the greater cause of the department. And that's okay, I understand that. And so the way I've approached it was, and I sort of, and by no means am I trying to compare, the officers that I work with to my children, but I sort of approached it from a sort of parenting standpoint. And I try to go in and continue to nurture, respect, support, and just listen. I think a lot of times leaders, we just love just talking a lot, and we don't really.
Yeah.
But we have two ears and one mouth for a reason. So I try to approach it that way.
Yeah, and it's important to look at it that way. Like, I love the fact how you said that you take the police officers and you look at your family, and it's pretty much the same. I mean, because the higher you go in leadership, that's sometimes people think that, oh, the higher I go, the less I'm close to people, which people don't really realize is that the higher you go, the more responsibility you have.
Right.
The more you hear about things. Now, you don't hear all the details, and that's the unfortunate side, because now you have to make a decision like, oh, crap, now I need to decide on X, Y, and Z. But the fact that you've been able to kind of learn from that and you're able to connect the two, I know it makes a difference, obviously, in your personal life and all that. So right now, like we said early on, you're the deputy chief in Corpus Christi PD. Where do you see the limit being as far as how far you can go in anywhere in your life, especially professional-wise?
Oh, wow. I just finished up my master's. I do have my FBI
Congrats.
National Academy, my SMIP, which is from PERF, which is, excuse me, the Police Executive Research Forum is just another version of executive leadership training. That's a 3-week course in Boston. And so what I try to tell people is that if you look at a posting for a police chief's job, most times they will say executive training and FBI NA preferred. And it's for a reason.
Yeah, and now you have it.
You have it. I have it as well. And so it's so I guess limitless, I guess. It could go as far as, I sort of want it to go. Of course, with the support of my family as well. So
That's the most important part.
so we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
So my audience literally ranges. It ranges from a brand new rookie officer or people even applying, people not being law enforcement, all the way to retired chiefs, retired sheriffs, retired directors. If somebody in the younger group, as far as someone new, what are some things that you've been able to do to maintain your sanity in law enforcement?
I heard this saying one time, sort of keep the main thing, and not put too much. I think we start trying to put too much pressure on ourselves, but then that's when we start doing things that are uncharacteristic. I think if you just keep yourself centered and grounded, yes, you do change as far as responsibilities once you start making rank and moving up, et cetera, but your core values should basically stay the same. You should basically stay the same person. And once you start talking about, like you're speaking here with our group, you're talking about authenticity, you're talking about empathy, you're talking about all these things that you have to pour into people, and your viewpoint should be facing downward. As we're moving up, it should not be, well, how high can I climb? It should be focused on your people. And so I heard this one quote a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know who said it, but it said, no one cares how much you know until you show them how much you care.
Correct.
And I just truly believe in that. I'm very comfortable just laughing it up and meeting and talking with the officers and just sort of getting in it. I just love that. I love doing that. That's just me.
And it's being authentic, like you said, like getting down. If that's your personality, you get down, you talk to people, because that's everybody's person.
Absolutely.
No matter what title they have, no matter what agency, organization, no matter what they've been through, they're still a person at the end of the day. And most people like some kind of contact. Even if it's minimum, they at least like to know that you acknowledge their presence.
Correct.
And like you said, you just being there, just shaking hands or giving a hug or just relating to people. People are like, oh crap, he is a regular person too.
Yeah, we're regular people. A lot of times people will say, Chief, you're just like, what are you doing? I'm just saying hi.
It's walking around.
Yeah, and it's okay, but I try to tell people that I'm trying to help coach and mentor and things of that nature as well, to just make sure that you're intentional about doing those things, because these don't make us any better. This is just how much money we make, but we're not better. You're never better than anyone else. And so my grandmother taught me that a long time ago as a kid, and I still believe in that. And so no matter what you do, no matter how much you accomplish, no one does anything by themselves. And so you have to acknowledge the people and make sure you're giving back. It's not, oh, well, hey, I'm fine. I have my position. I'm good. I just don't believe in that. I think we should be giving back as well.
Yeah, and what a lot of people don't know when it comes to any kind of selection process, there's official references and unofficial references. So if you're that authentic person that gives back, it goes at all levels.
Right.
It's just not, you don't have to just impress the chief or the city manager or your person that's right above you. You need to make sure you're dealing with everybody on
Correct.
an equal playing field, because you don't know who's part of the process, and you know if you've given enough to everybody, it's going to come back at some point.
Absolutely. You know, we talk a lot in the police profession about procedural justice, et cetera. Excuse me. But I think a lot of times we sort of miss the internal procedural justice that we have to take care of first. Because if we don't if we're not making sure that, you know, the officers have what they need, whether there's resources, whether it's mental health, wellness programs, et cetera.
Correct.
Those are things that person is going out to represent the department and the city. Maybe they're not happy. Those kind of things can translate over to how they're feeling to the public. So if they're happy, healthy, and whole, which is what we want them to be at all times, by having those internal procedural justice pieces and policies, it helps them be a better person. It helps them grow. It helps the citizens get better service, because we're here to serve them.
Correct. So if somebody was looking to reach out to you, if they was like, man, I love this podcast, Anthony Sanders, man, he's speaking the truth. What's the best way they can reach out to you?
My email is anthonys@cctexas.com. That's one of the ways. Excuse me. I'm on LinkedIn. I have an Instagram as well for the book, and so yeah, I'm on there as well. ANT_SAND .bookham is my Instagram. It's for my author page, and so yeah, there's a couple different ways.
So before we do final words, I actually did mess up, and that's fine. That's part of life. You wrote a book. What is the name of it, and what motivates you to write it?
The book is titled A Journey for Jurnee. It's a sort of play on words. Jurnee is my granddaughter's name, Jurnee. And what sort of sparked that was one day she was over having lunch, and it was probably one of the first times she's seen me in uniform, because I've been around a couple different
Correct.
divisions, and she was just so fascinated with all the pins and all
She's
of
like,
this.
what is all these
And
shiny?
she's looking at it, and she's looking at me, and she's like, is this like granddad or pop is what she calls me. And you know, so I started thinking, what is she gonna think about me? What is she gonna be told about police officers and what they do when she starts to go to school?
Correct.
And so this was an opportunity for me to sort of control that narrative and have an honest conversation with her. And so that was sort of the spark for writing the book.
Yeah, and that shows that just like everybody else, you're a regular person. You have family that you love and care for, and you want to be that role model at all levels. Because one thing I like to talk about, and we've talked about it before, is your uniform doesn't have to define you. It's
Absolutely.
everything you do in your life. That's what defines you. Now, the uniform is part of it. It really
Absolutely.
is. Any career, anything. If you're a stay-at-home mom, that does define you. Don't rule that out. It's important, because being a mother is just as important as anything else. But no, there's other things. So like you said, Jurnee, she defines you, because you wanted to be something better in her eyes. So that's where you came up with that side. So in closing or anything else, what final words do you have for the audience?
Wow. Thank you, first of all, for coming to Corpus Christi to speak to our group. As far as leadership goes, just continue to just be your authentic self. You know, I think a lot of times we just sort of try too hard sometimes, and people will, like you said in your presentation, if that's not really you, it's gonna come out.
Correct.
And so just be authentic, be genuine, treat people with empathy, treat people fair. Just those basic core things. I think it'll translate over to anything that you're doing. So I try sort of just leave everybody with just that. Just anybody in any leadership position, rank or not, because it's not all about rank.
That's true.
Just make sure you're treating people well every day.
Yeah, and you guys heard it. Treating people well. I know it's simple for us to say. I know when I talk about it, I make it sound very simple in nature, but it's tough, given everything that goes on. But you don't just hear it from here, you hear it from Anthony as well. And we want you guys to know that when you're out there looking for leadership, this is a good place to come. Corpus Christi, I love being here. It's been amazing. I've already spoken to about 300 staff, and everybody was enthusiastic. Everybody was involved, interactive, and leadership's everywhere. It ain't just in one part of the country or one agency, it's everywhere. So if you guys are looking for more info, make sure you hit him up on LinkedIn or IG. All his contact information and the book information will be in the call notes or the show notes. And if you need anything else from me, make sure you reach out. If not, you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for listening to the LEO First podcast. We hope we have provided you with information that can change your life. I'm asking you one favor. Subscribe and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. I don't know how I can serve you better. If you know anyone who would benefit from it, please share. Remember, it is simple. Create your legacy.